From NBC News, this is Today's Take with Al Roker, Natalie Morales, Willie Geist, and Tamron Hall. Live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
May is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and according to the National Institutes of Health, about 21% of women in the United States suffer from some sort of mental illness.
But many feel they have to keep their diagnosis a secret because of the stigma. Women's Health magazine tackled this issue head-on, speaking to dozens of women who are hoping to break the stereotype and misconceptions. Here are a few of their stories.
I actually noticed symptoms of anxiety while I was pregnant. The anxiety continued once I got home with my son from the hospital. I was embarrassed for feeling the feelings I had, wishing that I'd never had a son, wanting to leave my family and get on a plane with a one-way ticket and not come back, and just running away from it because it felt like the biggest mistake I'd ever made. I couldn't share those feelings. They were too intense and they were too horrible. I knew I had to get help and I needed to talk to somebody. So with medication and therapy, I was finally able to love myself again and to love my son.
It wasn't until my psychiatry rotation in med school and I started reading about patients who suffered from depression that I finally diagnosed myself with depression and realized that I had actually been suffering from this for quite a while. The depression felt like a lot of sadness, hopelessness, and eventually, when it was in its most severe state, suicidal thoughts. I just didn't have the right coping skills to deal with life. When I was finally diagnosed, it was a relief because it finally brought some clarity to the way I had been feeling for so long.
I was deployed to the northernmost base in Kunduz, Afghanistan for 8 months. Whenever I came home, I didn't have the interest in things in my life anymore. I would just go from feeling numb to just really angry. All of a sudden, I was really afraid to tell my family, to tell my friends, and they really embraced me. Whenever they finally heard it, they just wanted to support me.
It gets better. It does get better. You do feel better. You do learn again how to love yourself.
Don't be afraid of the person you are. To deny your feelings is to deny yourself.
Don't judge these people. Don't judge me. Embrace these people. They're not weak because they're getting help. They're so much stronger.
Amy Keller Laird is editor-in-chief of Women's Health magazine, and she recently opened up about her own struggle with OCD in the May issue. And Dr. Sue Varma is a psychiatrist. Thank you, ladies, for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you so much.
Amy, to hear that you're not alone and to share your story, to tell the people at home they're not alone. How important was that for you?
I mean, that was the whole point of the story. We didn't just want to report a bunch of stats sort of in a vacuum. We wanted to show real people. We didn't just want to be talking at our readers. We wanted to be talking with them. So that's why I felt it was just sort of the most obvious thing for me to participate, because I think to show that people who have mental illness are not necessarily the stereotypical people you have in your mind. It's your sister, it's your coworker, it's that celeb on Instagram. And by showing this wide breadth of women, we hope that people will see, oh, this is just something that happens to people, and it's a diagnosis like any other kind of medical diagnosis. If you had diabetes, you would talk about it and you would go see a doctor. So we want that to be kind of the same takeaway that people have with mental illness.
Dr. Varma, you've treated many patients with depression, anxiety, things like that. What's the one thing that jumps out at you that you need from the people around them?
Yes, it's so important to realize that stigma is about thinking that somebody is deviating from a social norm. But when 30 to 40% of people are going to have a mental health symptom in their lifetime, it is the norm. It's no longer the exception. And there's so many safe and effective treatments that are available, from psychotherapy, medication, exercise, yoga, mindfulness. And when you come out and you talk about your symptoms, you are creating a society, a community of support, and you're also giving back. And these two things are the hallmark of psychological resiliency.
And obviously, whether you're a man or a woman, being able to talk about that adds a safe zone and it adds to the healing. But for mothers, and we heard the woman say, I couldn't love my child until I could love myself, that's an extra guilt and all kinds of other other emotions, I imagine, that go along with it.
Exactly. You know, part of the stigma, I think, is self-stigma. You know, you wonder why is this happening to me? Did I do something wrong? But no, you know, most of it is a biological thing that has happened genetically, and that's why we have this hashtag Who Not What. We want people to embrace, you know, I'm a whole person. I'm not just a diagnosis.
Well, congratulations on your bravery and you educating people about the struggles that so many face. Dr. Varma, Amy, thank you again. And by the way, for more resources and information on mental health, go to today.com. We are back in a moment. This is Today on NBC.